For our agenda today, we're going to do a short introduction of some concepts that we found when we were researching. And then we're going to break it into 3 parts. Part 1, new features and advanced tools. Part 2 is a 3-step automated ordering process within the system. And this is a way that you can actually take a scientific approach with the system and with your sales in the past to ensure that you're ordering the right product in the future. And being a salesperson for IQ-Metrics, I can tell you that this is probably the #1 thing that people really find great value in when they're thinking about purchasing RQ4.
What you see here, just to kind of frame today's session, I heard this from a colleague once and I thought it was a great analogy, and it's really simple, but it makes sense for everything we're going to cover today. And thinking of your inventory like an apple. You know, Apple obviously is transported from point A to point B, just like your products, your phones, your accessories. But what I want you to think of is, think of that apple as fresh fruit, obviously, when it hits your shelf. And the minute that it does that, it's rotting. And the idea is, what can we do today? What can we share with you? What can RQ4 do to help you keep that fruit fresh? Help it from looking good, smelling good. If it starts to rot and starts to stink, you're going to have to discount, do promotions, basically give it away. And, you know, we want to get rid of the old fruit, but we don't want it to be rotten when that happens. That's what we like to talk about today. Keep that in mind as we move through today's session.
So why do we manage inventory? You know, obviously we manage inventory for several reasons. #1, it's extremely expensive and valuable when you purchase it, but as it rots in the back of your stores, if you're not selling it, then it becomes, you know, just a big cost of your company, obviously. Secondly, we want to make sure that we have the right product, the right place at the right time so we can maximize sales and profitability of your company. And, you know, if we do that correctly, you know, we'll be able to really help at the bottom line of your business. So having said that, how do we know we are doing well? And many of you may know this already, but we use a metric that is inventory turns. And that metric's important because we need to track what we've sold in the past, and we need to know that we're selling it fast enough and being able to reinvest and not tie up our cash flow. So the inventory definition, the inventory turns definition is the number of times the average inventory investment is sold in a time frame. And our research and discussions with clients have showed us that the average inventory turn should be somewhere between 8 and 12 times per year. And what if we do it poorly? Well, if we do it poorly, obviously we're going to have too much stock that's not moving. We're going to have, you know, a cash flow tied up in the business that we need to use in other ways. And we could even end up, you know, not being able to support our business and having to close down due to a lack of cash flow. These are 6 critical best practices that you should be using. Again, this is just to frame the entire discussion today and to make sure that, you know, we all remember as we go through exactly what's important. And these were presented by Craig Harding, and he's a president of a fulfillment company, Direct Tech Inc. So #1, we want to manage simple, consistent success metrics such as fulfillment, turnover, and gross margin return on investment.
And this one seems really simple, but it's something to think about, especially with RQ4, dedicating your business, especially your inventory, to accurate data. Garbage in, garbage out, we've said it before, we say it all the time. You're only going to get as much out of the program as you put into it, and that's another important part of these 6 inventory practices.
#3, maintain the quality of communications between marketing, merchandising, and buyers. And we've got several little things that you can do in the system that we're going to show you today that will really help that communication.
#4, applying top-down controls to align your bottom-up plans, not only the plans but also the budgets. So simple yet effective, everyone in the inventory side on the same page, makes life a lot better for everyone.
Reduce time from processes wherever possible. And this, again, is really important in a lot of the features that we're showing you today. It's just a matter of a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds every time you do something. And if you add those seconds and minutes up over the course of a week, a month, and a year, you're going to see results.
And #6, this is probably what most of you have referred to as the 80-20 rule. knowing which 20% of our products are responsible for 80% of our volume, and then taking that one step further and knowing if we apply time to that 20%, that's going to give us 80% of our benefit in the long run. Focusing there is number 6. So how can RQ4 help? We introduced to you what we like to call the RQ4 tool belt, and it's a collection of tips, features, tricks, hopefully some things here that you've seen before. If not, we want to talk more about it today. So all of these are going to apply to our 3 principles today and our 3 pieces of our agenda. So let's talk a little more about each one of these.
So part 1, new features and advanced tools. First thing we'll talk about is a widget that's been available for probably about a year now. It's the age serial number status widget. And the importance here is that you can actually have your sales reps scan the ESN or IMEI of the phone prior to actually activating that device. And when they do, they'll be able to tell immediately whether or not this item is the oldest in stock of its sort in that particular location. If it is not, like this one, they'll be able to see which one is the oldest in stock, because you want to make sure that your inventory turns are happening quickly in your company. So when they do scan the correct one, it says, yes, this item is okay to sell. We also see here that we've developed another report that will help you with, it's called the Age Serialized Sales Status Report. So this is a way that you can tell who was selling the correct product in your store based on the time frame. And you'll notice that sales rep Jeff Wilson has not been following the rules here.
Another great new feature that you guys may or may not know about is called backorder ETA. What this really is a reference field in the inventory module. I'm actually looking at, this is a phone, we're in the availability tab, and you'll notice in the bottom right corner, this is the backorder ETA. And all this really is a reference field for anybody who would need to know that this product was backordered. When do we estimate the product to arrive? Cuts down on a ton of phone calls and back and forth between the stores on when to expect the product. So not only can you see it from within the availability tab, but also in the product catalog. So right away, any phone here that is backordered, I would have a nice, quick, clear picture of when that product should arrive. Another reference field that's great for inventory managers or other people who may order products are the special order reference field. Again, this is in the purchasing tab of this example is a BlackBerry torch, and all we're doing is simply marking this product as a special order. Maybe it's a unique product or something we don't often carry. We mark it as a special order. Employees as well as product managers will know this product has to be ordered. This one is quite useful. It's a discontinued reference field. We're in same BlackBerry torch on the details tab, and you'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner we've got the discontinued box. If we check this, we can apply the date the product is to be discontinued. Now you would have the option to sell the product, but it's just a nice note for your reps to let them know, hey, it's discontinued. Keep that in mind. Also available within the product catalog. Another reference field, end of life. This takes the discontinued status one step further. Not only do we now know that maybe a product has been discontinued, and that's great, but the end of life is a quick way to immediately know when likely the subsidy or commission for that product is going to stop. We're totally wasting time and money if we sell the product after its end of life. Same place, purchasing tab, towards the bottom, we check the box and fill in the date. Also available within the product catalog. In this example, same torch, discontinued on October 25th, but truly end of life on the 30th. There's no reason we should ever sell the product after that day.
The next thing we're going to show you is the write-off. And the write-off actually is available in the purchasing tab. And what the write-off will do will allow you to set, for example, accessories that have become old stock, stale inventory. You can select the write-off at the inventory item level. And this actually serves a function because when you go into the write-off quantity adjustments, it will actually prompt you that this item is marked as write-off. Would you like to adjust all the quantity of all the products in all your locations to 0 at one time? So it's going to be a big time saver. for those products that are accessories that you want to get rid of. And you'll see there that it just automatically adjusts the quantities in stock across your entire company. Next thing we have is do not order, and this is important for purchasing, and this is available again in the purchasing tab. And what this does is it will not allow you to automatically or manually order products onto a purchase order. So to see that, we're actually creating a purchase order, and you're prompted that this product is a do not order product. It cannot be added to a purchase order. So that's a great way to ensure that if there's more than one person that's responsible for ordering, that they're not going to accidentally order something that you do not want to have in your stores. The next thing is actually very important. It's called no sale. And what we can do now is we can actually do all the inventory management, take the products and move them into all your locations. The great example of this is the iPhone 4S that just came out last week. If you were using 4.2, you'd be able to mark that product as a no-sale product. You'd be able to ship it to all your locations prior to Friday and have it marked as no sale, so your sales reps would not accidentally sell the product. All you have to do is set the no sale button here, apply the defaults to the grid, and you'll see there that all your stores would not be able to sell that product until you went in and actually changed it. So this is huge for those new product launches that you have, particularly with the higher end products that you're selling now. And this is how it would look on the actual invoicing screen. This product is no sale status for your location. You are not permitted to sell this product. Next thing we're going to show you is the purchase order edit field. And this one is maybe a little bit hidden. So this one we really wanted to let you know about because this is available now on the inventory on the main console under purchase orders. And if somebody edited any purchase order, you will be able to see that quickly and easily. So you can see the date and timestamp where they've done that. And we can also run a report to be able to see who indeed did change or edit that purchase order.
So part two, we've talked about the RQ4 tool belt and how that can help some of the pieces and parts that make up the tool belt. Part two is getting into the automated ordering process and the 3 steps that we want to help you at least show you today and hopefully let you use right away. We break it down into 3 parts. The first part, step 1, is you have to set up your min-max. RQ4 has to know inventory level-wise, minimum and maximum values at all stores before it's going to be able to effectively help you auto-order. Step 2 is stock balancing. Well, what is stock balancing? Hopefully you all do it. It's a matter of looking internally location to location, seeing who's over, who's under, based on min-max levels, and then moving products internally to meet the needs of other stores. So RQ4 offers an auto transfer in and an auto transfer out option to help you with that. We're going to talk about that as well. And the third thing, once we've set up our min-max, we've balanced stock internally to as best we can. Step 3, auto purchasing, will let you use RQ4 to place orders automatically. So step 1 in that process is setting up the min-max. The first way to do that, as some of you may already know, and before I go any further, how many people actually use and have min-max values set up today? That's awesome. So if you have products that have a sales history, which hopefully most of you do, we can use what we call the min-max pricing adjustment report to set these values up. This is what the min-max pricing adjustments report will look like. It lets us run the report for one location, multiple locations. We can run the report for all categories of inventory or specific, maybe a certain phone or a certain accessory. A nice feature also here is being able to choose your vendor. Location type is critical as well, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Within that report, you're going to see an option in the upper left-hand corner that says Show Min-Max Calculator. So the way that looks is just like this. When you choose to show the calculator, you're going to see a couple important boxes at the top that are going to require your information. The first thing is the period. So all this means is sales history. If we're doing this for a certain phone or a certain accessory, we need to know, RQ4 needs to know the time period we want to see historical sales for so it can help calculate min-max. So that's step 1. That's the period. start date, and end date. What we found, best practice, and everyone should do this, at least if you're not using it and you haven't done it before, 21-day period for your accessories, 14-day period for your phones. There's not really any reason to go much higher or lower than that for your period. If you look to the right of the period, you'll see the min. It's asking for a minimum quantity. And all this is how many days do we expect that product to take to get from the vendor to our store. In this case, we've set that to 3. Right directly to the right of the min is the set max quantity. And that's how often do we wish to order the product. So how long do we plan on keeping that product around? It's very important for me to point out that the min and the max are experimental. These numbers are not set in stone. This is something that if you guys are using it, you've probably realized it's going to make sense to run this once and then tweak that number a little. Once we hit the calculate button on the min-max report, the calculator, this is what our min-max adjustments report will look like. Right away, this looks like a report we ran for a couple different products, maybe one whole store. It's going to show us, based on the sales period, exactly what we sold, our daily average in terms of sales. Based on those numbers, what does RQ4 recommend we use for a min-max? The stock out date, the far right, that's going to tell us how long we have. If we didn't order any other products between now and that day, that's when we're going to end up selling out. Once you've run the report, you do have some manual options, and these are some things that some people don't know about. You can go in and set your minimum or your maximum to another fixed value. A lot of folks will also adjust percentage-wise for seasonality, holidays, downtimes. And then finally, a third manual option you'll see at the bottom is the order. So we can actually change our order number manually.
So with a brand new product in our stores, we want to make sure that we set up the min-max correctly. So we can't use the auto min-max. We don't have product sales history to fall back on to set those min-max numbers. So what we can do is we can create the product in inventory. Then we set the min-max using those tools that Chris just showed you. And then we lock the min-max. And we lock the min-max so that we don't accidentally order product based on min-max that's not correctly set in the future. So we have to have at least a couple weeks for phones and most likely 3 weeks history for accessories in order to make this work correctly. So to create a new product, you can actually right-click on an existing product and create similar. Then you fill in the blanks. It's very simple. The most important thing you can do with the min-max location type, you can actually set up different volume of stores. So you can have an A stock, a B stock, a C stock, and you can actually limit the search by store volume or size. So in this case, it will only pull up the stores that are part of that location type. We chose A stock stores in this case. And now we've got the 4 stores that we consider our top stores, our flagships. Then we manually set the min and max numbers in the report. And then we can lock the min max in the pricing tab.
So step 2 in our automated ordering process is what we like to refer to as stock balancing, which I'm sure you all are aware of and probably are doing. I want to point out 2 quick reports that you can take advantage of to help you balance stock internally. The first one is the auto transfer in report. This report is used to identify overages at your stores and move them to other locations where there may be a shortage. A great example in the real world, how some of you may use this, it's a great thing to do with this report, is for recalled products. So you have to pull back a number of accessories or phones from a certain store. This is the report you can do. Actually, it wouldn't be a certain store, it would likely be all stores. What we could do is have our warehouse or our corporate office, wherever the product is going to go to, have that be a high max number. The locations, we would set the minimum at those stores to 0. So in other words, we're stripping all the product out of the stores and we're going to be able to send it back by doing so. The auto transfer in report looks like this. We would run it for our locations and choose to send it to the warehouse or the corporate office, wherever the inventory is going to go. We would run the report. It would give us a return on exactly what we would be able to ship from overage, which theoretically would be every product because we would have set the minimum to 0. The auto transfer in report offers a generate transfer request button that I've highlighted, and this is going to get the process started for you automatically. Once you click on generate transfer, a new transfer request is created. You can take that one step further and automatically populate an email for the sales manager, the inventory manager at that store, whoever's going to be responsible for fulfilling that order. Another report very similar to the transfer in is the transfer out. It works the same way, except this time it's identifying shortage rather than overage. So this will be a great way to, in the real world, drop ship from a warehouse to one store, 2 stores, multiple stores. Or what may also work is to use warehouse stock to quickly identify where that stock can go. Shortage based. Same idea, run the report from our corporate location or our warehouse, pick a store or 2, or the entire company for that matter. We can run the report, see exactly what the warehouse has that's overage, min-max wise, and then create transfers out to the stores. Again, using the same generate transfer order we looked at earlier. Once we create our transfer, we would want to do 1 per store and just complete the order as normal.
Now, the important part of this that happens is after you've been using the auto transfer in and out reports for some time and you're getting better at ordering your product in the first place, then it really becomes less of an issue to use the auto transfer in and out. You're able to figure out exactly what you need in each location based on your sales. So really the 3-step process becomes more like a 2-step process or a 2.5-step process. So once we've stock balanced correctly around our locations, the next thing we do is the auto purchasing. So auto ordering, you can run the report for a single location, multiple locations, you can run it by districts, etc. You can choose all categories. You can choose shortages of products if you wish. And the nice thing is, it will show you all the products that we recommend based on your min-maxes that you need company-wide. Click Generate Purchase Orders. And the other thing here is that you can see that you can also import in a list from Excel of products that you wish to order. And in that case, you can save, hundreds of mouse clicks when you're generating purchase orders manually within your company if you would prefer to do the work in Excel and import it into this auto ordering report. In this case, what happens is we create 1 PO per vendor with the total cost of all the products on that order. And then it will even prompt us to auto-commit all the generated POs that we've created. And finally, if you're able to email them out to your vendors, you'll be able to automatically generate the emails as well. And here's another screenshot, similar. This is the auto ordering, the import functionality. You'll see it right there at the top.
So Jeff, I actually have a quiz for you. Did you actually know that we now have the ability in RQ4 to restrict selling into the negative quantity for non-serialized products?
I did not know that until we put this presentation together. That's
well, now you
amazing.
know, and I'm not surprised.
Wow.
In fact, now we do have the ability to do this, and I'm actually in the settings section under POS defaults in the sales option. Under sales invoice rules, you'll see a new function here, restrict ability to sell into the negative quantity. So if you have a problem with this at your stores, if it's an issue, as it is for many people, restricting that ability for non-serialized products is a great start to helping manage a bit better. So part 3 is kind of pulling everything that we've talked about so far today together. We've talked about the tool belt, we've talked about the auto ordering process and how that can be made a bit more simple by RQ4. But a lot of times when Jeff and I run through this or we speak with clients, the question we get is, well, I may know how to use RQ4, but the metrics of those pieces are what I'm really struggling to find. Which reports do I need to run to see how my inventory is being managed, who's making changes, and how, big picture, how inventory looks. And that's what we want to talk a little bit about now in part 3 is it says reports you need to know, but I think it's almost reports that you have to know in order to be successful with inventory management. The first thing I want to show is not even a report at all. It's just your basic inventory count screen, which may look normal to you, and I hope you all do inventory counts regularly. The thing I want to point out that you may not notice in this screenshot is the red circles for this phone count. These are non-sellable products. So what you now have the ability to do with your inventory counts are include non-sellable products in those counts. Great tool for not only tracking, obviously, just the sellable, but also the non-sellable, the missing part that a lot of people had prior to this feature. Also, staying on the topic of inventory counts, I don't know how many of you have seen this or are using this. Where I'm at now is in the Update Committed Count Sheet section of the inventory module. What you'll notice is I'm looking at a mass list of every committed count sheet out there right now that's still open. What you'll also notice is that we have a column now that's the actual dollar value variance. So as an inventory manager, and what I've done here is sort this by dollar value. As an inventory manager, one who's responsible for keeping an eye on the inventory, especially the counting, I can sort this in the $474,000 variance. Well, that's probably a big deal. Probably something that needs a little more attention right away than the $53 there at the bottom. We may get to the 53, but this lets me prioritize counts by dollar variance. The other feature you'll see at the top is now the ability to not only sort by variance dollar, but also generate multiple recount sheets or do mass adjustments to these counts all at once. So what used to be work in 5, 6, 10 different committed counts can now be done literally from one screen.
Hey, Chris, I bet I know the answer to this, but did you know?
Yes.
Wow. You can now create your own reason codes for inventory adjustments. And this, again, was something that people had asked me about in the past, and I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. So you simply go into the settings area under inventory, and you can actually create very specific reasons for your inventory, whether it's shrinkage or inventory that you need to adjust. It's best if you can make this extremely accurate and make sure that everybody that does this type of work for your company will be able to really accurately identify which product is in which bucket or basket of inventory adjustments. We'd like to introduce the stale inventory report. And what this is this is very similar to the ordering reports that we have, the automated ordering reports. And this is a way for you to be able to determine the non-serialized items and whether or not they're selling fast enough in your stores. And the most important number here is the daily average sales of those products. So how this works is you can run the stale inventory report. You can run it by different parameters, different categories. The most important piece is the quantity sold threshold. So you could say, I want to see everything that has not sold a certain quantity in that date range. And you can sort them and figure out exactly how you're going to discount the products and how you're going to move them out of your store. But the critical point of this is that if it's not selling, you've got to move it somewhere, somehow.
Any of the reports that we talk about are readily accessible just by typing in any of the parts of the keyword. So if it's a stale inventory report, hop into the reports package, keyword stale, you're going to find that report, as well as the other ones that we're talking about today. So I want to talk a little bit about moving products from non-sellable. It's something that all of our clients have at least done at one point, is using that category called non-sellable, which is great. We have a report called the non-sellable products report. If you've seen it before, you know what it does. This report lets you see exactly what's in non-sellable status across 1, 2, all of your stores. What you may not know is that there's 2 tabs at the top of this report. The first one says it's 2 in stock. So what we're able to do is take products that were brought in, normally on a return, they're in a non-sellable status, we can actually move them back to sellable using the in-stock category. All we're doing is adding the quantity that needs to come back into stock. Once we save this report, they're back in, they're sellable. It's a great shortcut. But what you may not know, and I've kind of already given it away by looking at this screenshot, is the new addition to this, which is now being able to do just the opposite. We can take sellable products and move them to non-sellable. If you've done this before, you know what you had to do before to get this to happen. And now I think this way is just a little easier. So now, same report, the non-sellable product report. We're going to use the to non-sellable tab at the top. And all we're doing is letting RQ4 know how many products we need to move from sellable to non-sellable. Save the report, and now they're unable to be sold.
The next report we like to call the Rodney Dangerfield report. It just doesn't get any respect. This is the sales history report that's been available in the system for quite some time. But it's really a great report because it shows you, very basic details and also, summary information on the left-hand side, but then you can drill down into the right-hand side and get a lot of specific information about your sales individually across different parts of your company. The next report we want to talk about is a product tracking report. And we can track accessory products and see the history of when those accessories came in and out of the store, how they moved around our company. But more importantly, we can also look at the lifestyle of one serialized product. And you can see when it was ordered, when it was received, whether or not it was sold, transferred, etc. And it's all available both in the inventory section and also in the reporting section. The next report we're going to show you is the over receiving inventory report. And this is a report that will show you exactly who and when is over receiving product around your company.
So one thing that we like to kind of assume people have seen and are using are our product imports. So anytime you have to add a brand new product to your inventory, Jeff mentioned earlier the Create Similar. That's a great tool for a one-off product. But we want you to be aware of the import tool that we have. You can bring in regular products, non-stocked, and vendor rebate products in bulk. Whether it's 5 or whether it's 500, you can do it all with one import. This is what the regular inventory import wizard would look like. All we would do is map to an Excel sheet. The columns would be things like description, cost, price. All we need to do is tell RQ4 our first row, last row of data, our sheet name, and you'll even notice the barcode and the discontinued date column. So this is a great way to literally add many, many hundreds of products even all at once. On the heels of the imports, another similar feature, but is also great to know about if you haven't seen it before, are the master list. Same idea, we have master list for regular products, non-stock products, and our vendor rebate products. This is just a quick snapshot of just one master list it looks like for some phones and accessories. This is the battery section here. I'm sure you've been here before, but for those of you that may be new to RQ4, even new to seeing this today, this is a great place to change things like category. If we need to move 40 batteries to a new category for whatever reason, we can do it here. We can also change pricing, vendors, things like that. You have tools at the top of this master list to let you set these things in bulk. So we could use control and click to change many batteries to a new category or change many vendors, manufacturers, that kind of thing. One thing that we've all seen before is what happens when it's time for a price change on an accessory or a phone. It can be a bit of a bear, at least some people thought it was, to have to do that for each location. What we want to talk about now is a new ability to mass adjust your pricing. How many of you have struggled with price changes in the past in RQ4 in the master list? Well, at least a few. Now, if you go into a regular product master list, in this case, it looks like some body glove accessories. If we make a change to any price in the default price column, we're going to get this prompt. So all we have to do is select a location to receive the new price, double click on that store, and you've made the change. There's no more having to go back into the product and do update defaults. It all happens automatically right through the mass adjustment.
Hey, Chris, just one note there. In 4.2, that specific flow is a little bit cumbersome, but we have improved that in the next version of the software as well. So now it's going to do the mass edit immediately. So if you're using it in 4.2 now, just be aware that it will get even better than it is today.
And just one more piece, we've talked about these features, you've seen this earlier today, part of the tool belt, also part of the master list. So we can set do not orders, back orders, ETA for back orders, special orders, the end of life, and also the write-off date are all now part of the master list as well.
And last but not least, what we wanted to really point out is we have the ability to use reporting in the system for multiple functions. And people always ask us, how do I get to this report? And this specific report, the auto ordering report, we can use for another very important purpose, and that is to determine whether or not we are overstocked in our locations. It's very simple. All you have to do is show overages only, and you can select a location by category or all categories. And in this case, if we run this report, we can see quickly and easily that we have $26,000 of stock overage in that location. And that's a huge number, and we don't want to be there because that kind of number will lead to a reduction in the number of inventory turns, and obviously it's a cash flow issue as well. So in summary, today we've talked about the tool belt, all the new tools and features that we've added to the system to shave just a little bit of time from every workflow.
We've talked about the automated ordering process, making sure that you always have the right apples in the right place at the right time.
And we've also put in a lot of enhancements to existing reports and also a lot of new features within the reports. And we've completely revamped some reports like the stale inventory report as well. And it's something that's there now that you didn't have the access to before. So I think the latest RQ4 enhancements are really proof that we are winning the inventory management game.
On the auto order report, there is a column that says orders. And in my system, there's or maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's never nothing in it. What is that column for?
The way you would use that is actually in the drop downs, you could use it to order more product, and rather than setting your min-max and locking it, you can actually just drop 20 into every location through that column.
Okay, thank you.
And there's actually a number of different product types that make up the number that RQ4 is looking at is a virtual quantity, so it's in transit. It's other things other than just your stocked products too. So if you run the report, you can see those other categories as well. What you can do is use the location type setup that Jeff talked about. That would give you the ability to have a different volume basis for store type A, store type B, store type C, and it's also certainly something you can do by store. Well, I think that's a great question. There's probably not a set answer. I think stock balancing internally, especially if you're new to min-max, is something for that large of an of organization, you probably would want to start relatively heavy with the report, especially once you're comfortable with your min-max. It's just an experimental game there to see what works best for you. Something that you would want to do is speak with your CSM, and you could probably sit down and look at some of your the numbers that are historical, and they could help you get a better idea of what's probably going to work the best. It's hard to say without actually looking into your database.
On the end of life wizard, you had a checkbox there for, or end of life for the phones. Does that take it off the wizard when that is checked and the date's passed?
On the end of life, no. On the do not sale, that would be the one with the actual trigger.
The do not order is the one.
Do not sale or do not order.
So you'd have to flag both of those.
The flag, those are more of a reference field. The discontinue the end of life.
Okay.
But do not sell, do not order are the two that would have a prompt.